In this news update, we have a look at what's happening with Celsius and Alex Mashinsky, also looking into some various DeFi protocols and some various partnerships that they have been forming lately, looking into exactly what's happening there. We also have news around Mehen Finance, who reserve-backed stablecoin, and their successful minting on Testnet. And of course, we have news around Ripple and their case with the SEC. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
Hey everyone, I'm Peter Buey. If this is first time here, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on the notification bell, and I'll have the latest news and updates directly to your YouTube feed. Now, the first news story I have here is around XRP. I know it's not about Cardano, but this is very significant for the entire crypto industry. And this is the court case that's been going on for the last 3 years or so around XRP and the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission in the United States, stating that the Ripple Labs have been trading XRP as a security for the last number of years. And they did a token raise of, I think it was 1.3 billion US dollars. And now the SEC have been chasing them and putting them through a court case to say that they've been trading securities illegally. And recently, just overnight, news has come out that in this US ruling, they ruled on the side of Ripple Labs, stating that the XRP token is not security. But if we have a look at the various cryptos on CoinMarketCap, we can see clearly that the entire industry has taken to this news quite well, with many chains and tokens surging after that particular news announcement. My next news item here is around Alex Mashinsky and Celsius. It has been announced that he has been arrested and charged with fraud. So the court case will be going ahead against Mashinsky here. So prosecutors allege that Mashinsky misled investors into plowing billions of dollars into Celsius, portraying it as a modern day bank where customers could safely deposit crypto assets and earned interest. Now, we all know how that went, and a massive crash. Fortunately for myself, this is one of those platforms that I didn't get into. It's one of those things that I just didn't have time to investigate. But unfortunately, a lot of people did and lost out big. So there will be some sort of level of justice for those people that did lose a lot of their assets within Celsius platform. The next area that we should have a look at is the DeFi landscape and exactly what's going on after that ruling about the SEC and Ripple. And we can see here the one-day changeover is all nice and green at the moment. And we can see the Cardano blockchain making massive gains at the moment, with a 23% increase in one day and surging up to 14th place in total TVL. So it's slowly but surely creeping up against many of the other blockchains there. One of the really interesting things to note is the surge of Cardano's TVL based on its currency. And we'll do a comparison against this on other blockchains as well. But ever since the beginning of this year, the ADA's TVL has been steadily increasing. And if you compare this to other blockchains, such as Ethereum, we've seen a slight drop off or stayed fairly stable as it is. We look at Arbitrum, it's been pretty flatline as well, and Polygon hasn't had much of a movement this year either. Now, this really is because a lot of Cardano users are now moving over to DeFi protocols to find gains. Normally, Cardano users would be staking their ADA within the protocol itself and earning the APR from there. But now there are better ways to earn APR through these DeFi protocols, and all of them that are coming into play at the moment. So each time there's another one launching, there is a surge in TVL as users flock to those protocols to find new gains from the ecosystem. So it's really good to see the growth of that TVL in the Cardano ecosystem and the DeFi space maturing there on the Cardano blockchain. My next news update here is around Lenfi and the release of their pool lending protocol on Testnet. So you can jump onto their protocol itself and have a little play around with this one. You do have to follow their little guide here to be able to test, mint some test assets and then test out their platform. So just follow the instructions, make sure your wallet is set up for the pre-prod testnet. You can go through here, have a look at the market and see how it all works and experience it for yourself. There are some limitations in regards to what you can actually do at the moment, but you can go through and supply and borrow assets based on what's in the interface here. So if you're interested to see how pooled lending will work on the Cardano ecosystem, check this one out. It's fairly easy in regards to how it's used, and I really love the brand new branding and interface that the team have put together. My next news update is around Optim, and Optim provide DeFi bonds on the Cardano blockchain. Now, they've been a little bit quiet recently, but they have released an updated blog post here recently reflecting on their journey so far in Cardano. And they're going to strongly revive the project and take a new approach in the ecosystem in general. Now, these are the reasons why they've decided to revive Optim, and this is the steady growth of the Cardano ecosystem, and we can see that clearly from the rising TVL in the ecosystem in general. Now, they've also looked into the development tools and costs. Now, previously, developing Cardano was quite hard, but with tools like Aiken, it's making development on Cardano so much easier. They've also mentioned that the increased community participation, which is also clear from the change of the TVL, and also the stronger support from stakeholders such as the Cardano Foundation, Emergo, and Project Catalyst itself. The last thing they mentioned is the release of the upcoming USDA from Emergo, and this is a fully regulated stablecoin that's coming to the Cardano ecosystem. And from rumors that I've heard, it's coming very soon. Now, if we look at the rest of this article here, they do mention some of their short-term focuses and future roadmap. And a couple of the things they're mentioning here is the shorter bond periods that they'll be releasing on their platform to make it a lot more flexible to use. The launch of their IPO, their bond platform in general, and also reaching out to different ecosystem partners to look for new opportunities to work with. And we'll go into a little bit more about that in a second. They also mentioned the development of their smart contract vaults for building the core foundations for real world assets and minting tokens and bonds for real world assets. And I'm extremely interested in that. There are a lot of projects on the Cardano blockchain at the moment that are building around real world assets. And this leads me into this next news item with Fluidtokens and Optim and their partnership that they're doing together to raise awareness around how you can use their bonds in things such as initial stake pool offerings. So for those that don't know, Fluidtokens is running an initial stake pool offering at the moment where you can delegate ADA to a stake pool and earn additional rewards in the Fluid token. Now you can see here in the announcement that the collaboration aims to educate delegators on how Optim can increase their position during initial stake pool offerings without the need to hold the required amount of ADA, which is extremely exciting and gives users a lot more options in regards to how they can participate in these ISPOs, especially when you don't have much ADA. You can take out a bond and share the profits with other people with that bond and participate in some of these ISPOs for the rewards. So it's pretty interesting on what they're doing there, and you can read more about it and exactly how you can actually use this particular method in an ISPO. So I'm pretty excited around what's happening in the ecosystem there. Now, talking about ISPOs, initial stake pool offerings, this one here is from Twin. Now, I did do an interview with Thomas Tallis from the CEO of Twin, and you can find the links to that interview in the top right-hand corner there, where we talk about the platform and exactly what the team are doing. But in this blog post announcement here, they talk about how their ISPO 2.0 is different in how it works in the ecosystem. And one of the really interesting things to point out is how they combat the centralization of stake, or the movement of stake from smaller stake pool operators to their platform. So a lot of users out there can choose which stake pool they delegate to, and a lot of them do choose to support the smaller single stake pool operators. But when some of these platforms come up with ISPOs, the gains and tokens that you get from them are sometimes too hard to give up. And what they're doing here is they're tracking where the delegation is coming from and then rewarding those stake pool operators and compensating those stake pool operators, I should say, for that delegation. So here, a portion of the rewards occurred from these delegations will be returned to affected SPOs, single state pool operators to be exact, ensuring fairness and providing support to the operators who may experience a temporary loss of delegation. So for those that don't know, if you're running a stake pool on the Cardano ecosystem, to be really profitable or successful, you do need to be over a 3 million ADA delegation threshold. That way you can ensure that you're minting blocks every single epoch. That's every 5 days. And when a small stake pool operator loses delegation, they start to lose the chance of minting those blocks on a regular basis. And as a result, you don't see as many small stake pool operators keeping their doors open, especially when they're competing against protocols such as Twin or other protocols that are building on the Cardano blockchain and starting stake pools to try and raise funds for their platforms. So when we see platforms like this try and reach out and fix those issues and make it only a temporary issue and reward those single stake pool operators back, it's really encouraging to see. So congratulations to Twin for taking that initiative and looking after the smaller stake pool operators in the Cardano ecosystem. My next news story here is around the Meld ecosystem, and this one is around the Meld Airdrop and how you can be eligible for this one here. So they're airdropping and rewarding early adopters of their platform, and this post here does go through how you can be eligible for it and maximizing your Meld Airdrop rewards. So if you're interested in this one here, I'll put a link down below in the comments so you can find it and follow this one and learn exactly how you can participate in the Meld Airdrop. Now, if you participated in the Meld ISPO previously, you would already have a lot of Meld tokens, but this is a large airdrop. I guess it's I can't see the exact details, but 1 million Meld, I'm assuming, and you can be a part of this airdrop if you go through their platform process and sign up onto the platform itself, and you'll find out more information, like I said, in the show notes down below. Now, my last news item here is around Mehen Finance, and this is a really cool tweet that I saw come through from Matt, and they have managed to mint their reserve-backed stablecoin on Testnet. Now, this uses the Charlie 3 Oracle to check their reserves. Let me just scroll past that. So that they're using the Oracle there to see if those reserves are in their bank account, and then and only then mint if it is possible. And I have Matt here to explain it all for us.
Hey Pete, thanks for doing a quick update. We had an important development this week for the USDM stablecoin in that we minted successfully on pre-prod or testnet according to the value that the Charlie 3 Oracle delivered from our reserves account. Typically the way tokens are minted on Cardano is that there's a ton that are minted, then the policy ID is locked, and then they're locked into a smart contract, and they're just sent out bit by bit from there. So like there's a trillion JED, but they're all locked in the JED smart contract. Now, what we decided to do was work with an independent Oracle to report the reserves to the blockchain, and then only mint up to that reserves amount. So there's a smart contract that governs the monetary policy for the USDM stablecoin that will only allow us to mint as much as the Charlie 3 Oracle reports. And so this week we minted $400 of USDM. That was great because there was $500 in the account. And then we minted another $200, and that actually failed because then that actually showed that the Charlie 3 Oracle feed was being properly viewed by the smart contracts, and that they did indeed limit reserve minting more than the reserve amount. So it's a great development. This is the first that we know of, so global state control, where on a UTXO blockchain, it's very hard to measure how many tokens are out there in the blockchain because they're all locked up in different UTXOs. And so this is a big development, and we're very proud of the team for coming up with a method for doing this, and we're certainly going to celebrate it.
Now, another thing I want to point out is this little comment here from Matt about which language is the contract written in. And we can see here from Plutus Plumbus, Aiken. Aiken really is the talk of the town in the Cardano ecosystem. If you've ever wanted to develop something on the Cardano blockchain, take advantage of the potential markets that you can capitalize on, Aiken is definitely the way to go. Go through the initial Hello World tutorial and learn and familiarize yourself on how to write a smart contract in the Cardano ecosystem. I know I've played around with the Plutus Pioneer program. In the early days, writing smart contracts, you had to set up your environment to actually write the code in Plutus. You had to set up a Nix environment. I completely nuked my laptop and it was a terrible experience. But I tried again with Aiken and it was flawlessly simple, and you could do it all within your browser and run the environments on Demeter. So it's such a clean and easy experience, and I highly encourage anyone wanting to start writing smart contracts in the Cardano ecosystem to try Aiken out. There's also Marlowe if you're not programming inclined, and this allows you to build your smart contracts in a browser interface with drag and drop components. It is super simple. Here is a little demonstration of it. Let me just go through this. And you can see here the components of the smart contract. You can have a wrapper for the contract, and then you just pull these parts in to write the smart contract. Of course, after that, you do need to then deploy it on the blockchain, and you may need some help if you're not a developer to be able to do that. But I will have an interview coming up to talk all about Marlowe and exactly how it all works. So super excited about the future of the Cardano ecosystem and all these really exciting things happening in the Cardano blockchain. Now, if you really enjoyed this episode, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on that notification bell. You'll get lots and lots of Cardano and DeFi related content in your YouTube inbox. And I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.